I told you that the words "I'm sorry," words meant to heal, comfort, and restore trust, might actually be one of the most manipulative tools in human relationships? Think about it. Those two simple words have the power to end wars, save marriages, and calm storms of conflict. But are they always sincere? Or have they become a strategy, a tactic used to escape consequences, silence critics, or regain power? The truth behind apologies is complex and layered, and what you're about to uncover may change the way you trust others forever. A true apology isn't just about saying words. It's about genuine remorse, accepting responsibility, and making amends. Yet neuroscience reveals something even deeper. Our brains are wired to respond to apologies positively, even when they aren't sincere. Hearing an apology triggers the same reward systems as forgiveness. We are hardwired to want to believe in those words because trust is part of our survival. It helps us bond, form alliances, and feel safe. But this wiring also makes us susceptible. It opens the door for manipulation. In today's world, apologies have become a form of social currency. A well-delivered apology at the perfect time can salvage reputations, rebuild brands, and even help win elections. You've seen it before. Politicians standing behind podiums, celebrities reading from teleprompters, influencers crying on camera. But when apologies are rehearsed, crafted by PR teams, and timed for maximum effect, are they really genuine? Or are they simply a strategic move to manage public opinion? In the age of cancel culture, the right apology can mean the difference between career resurrection and total destruction. It becomes less about actual remorse and more about optics. Some people are forgiven not because they mean it, but because they look like they do. The apology has become a performance, a well-scripted act. But what about in everyday life? Apologies are not exclusive to the public stage. In families, friendships, and intimate relationships, we often see apologies weaponized in subtle, insidious ways. A partner who cheats and then cries and begs for forgiveness. A friend who always oversteps boundaries but hides behind, "You know I didn't mean it." This everyday weaponization of apology is where real emotional damage can begin. Because when apologies are used to manipulate emotions rather than to repair relationships, they become tools of control. The person who constantly says sorry without making any changes is telling you something powerful. I want your forgiveness, but not your expectations. Let that sink in. They don't want to be accountable to change, they just want the relationship to go back to the way it was. Comfortable for them, painful for you. And here's where things get even more twisted. We're often praised for accepting apologies, for being the bigger person, for forgiving and moving on. But what if forgiveness in some situations isn't noble? It's dangerous. Forgiveness without accountability can enable abuse. It can teach the offender that words are enough, that they can harm, apologize, and hit reset. No need to evolve, no need to reflect, no need to transform. Just a rinse and repeat cycle of hurt and hollow words. We must begin to separate forgiveness from restoration. Forgiveness is internal, it's yours, it's for your healing. But restoration, trust, closeness, reconciliation, those things must be earned. They require evidence, they require time, And let's talk about something even more disturbing: corporate apologies. When a company wrongs its customers, lays off workers, releases faulty products, or supports injustice, you'll often see a perfectly crafted statement issued within hours. Polished, measured, carefully phrased, and yet utterly devoid of soul. Because here's the secret. Corporate apologies are often not about the people they hurt. They're about protecting the brand, minimizing backlash, calculating liability. These apologies aren't designed for healing, they're PR strategies disguised as remorse. And consumers fall for it, again and again. Because we want to believe, we want to trust, we want to feel seen and heard. And so we accept the apology, forget the harm, and go back to supporting systems that have done nothing to deserve our loyalty. But what if we demanded more? What if we didn't just accept words, but insisted on action? Real policy changes, real reparations, real accountability. Imagine a world where apologies were judged not by how they sound, but by what follows. This brings us to a deeply uncomfortable truth. Some people never apologize because they believe they've done nothing wrong, and sometimes from their perspective they haven't. Their upbringing, beliefs, or worldview prevent them from seeing their actions as harmful. These people don't apologize, not because they're evil, but because they lack awareness. In those situations, an apology is not only unlikely, it's impossible. And if you spend your life waiting for someone like that to say, "I'm sorry," you may be waiting forever. The closure has to come from you, not from their words, but from your own decision to stop needing them. Let's explore this more. Why do we so deeply? It's because they validate our pain. They confirm that what happened was real, that we weren't overreacting, that our emotions mattered. An apology is emotional justice. It puts the pieces back together. But when we don't get that justice, when the apology never comes, it can feel like our pain is invalid, like we're trapped in a story with no ending. And so we chase apologies. We rehearse arguments in our head. We write unsent letters. We wait, and we wait. But maybe healing doesn't have to wait for someone else's permission. Maybe healing begins when you realize you don't need their apology to move forward. You only need your truth, your boundaries, your decision to let go of the fantasy that they'll ever make it right. And what about apologizing to others? What stops us from doing it genuinely? For many, it's pride, ego, fear of looking weak. Admitting we were wrong can feel like surrender, like giving away power. But the truth is, apologizing doesn't make you weak. It makes you trustworthy. People respect honesty, vulnerability, integrity. And when you apologize sincerely, not just to end a fight, but to truly honor the other person's pain, you build a foundation that's stronger than anything fake harmony could ever offer. Let's go deeper. There's a kind of apology that isn't verbal at all. It's behavioral. It's shown in the way we show up differently, in the boundaries we honor, in the empathy we learn, in the accountability we accept. This is the apology that sticks, the one that transforms. Because if you say, "I'm sorry," but act the same way tomorrow, what you really mean is, "I'm sorry you noticed." Let that one linger. There's another apology we rarely discuss, the inherited one, the generational apology, the one we owe to people who came before us and after us. The apology for silence, for complicity, for benefiting from systems that others were crushed by. How do you apologize for something you didn't directly do, but have passively inherited? You do it by listening, by acknowledging, by unlearning, by using your voice where others didn't. That too is a form of apology. Not one rooted in guilt, but in responsibility, in legacy, in honor. And still, the hardest apology remains the one we owe ourselves. For staying quiet, for staying small, for accepting crumbs when we deserved so much more. Say it with me. I'm sorry for every time I ignored my gut just to keep the peace. For every time I chose comfort over growth. For every time I made myself smaller so others could feel bigger. Now forgive yourself. Not because it erases the past, but because it gives you the power to write the future. Apologies are not just social rituals. They are spiritual reckonings. They are moments where truth, accountability, and healing collide, where we are given the rare chance to reset not just relationships, but realities. So the next time you say, "I'm sorry," pause. Ask yourself, am I saying this to escape or to evolve? Because the world doesn't need more empty words. It needs people who understand the weight behind them. So now I ask you, will your apology be real or rehearsed? If you've made it this far, drop the phrase "sorry means nothing without change" in the comments. Let's see who truly grasped the message beneath the surface.